As Salesian cooperators, we joyfully accept the Rector Major's invitation to take part in the organization of this year's Novena for the Mary Help of Christians celebration. The Salesian cooperators will offer their testimony to the conditions of life in which they find themselves, highlighting this year's themes. We will contribute to the prayer to Mary regarding these particular themes. As Salesians, we cannot fail to be devoted to Mary Help of Christians, especially during this month of the celebration.
Day 1. Holy Mary, Queen of Peace, listen to the horror of war.
Mary knows what it's like to hold the body of a child in her arms, wrongfully killed by men lost in a violence they can't put an end to. We turn to her like frightened children who turn to their mothers, to her who waited at the foot of the cross for the gift of God's peace from the risen one.
Application. I saw a man enter the church, hesitant, his step unsure. He knelt down in the last pew and covered his face with his hands, then burst into tears. He got up suddenly and approached a confessional. He knelt down and after a moment's hesitation said between sobs, "I have blood on my hands." It was during the advance, right in the middle of this absurd war. Every day one of my friends died. The hunger was terrible. They told us never to enter a house without a gun in our hand, ready to shoot at the first sight of rebellion. Where I went in, there was an old man and a girl with blonde hair and sad eyes. "Bread, give me bread," I asked. The girl bent down. I thought she was going for a gun or a bomb. That's when I decided to shoot. But when I came up to her, I saw that the girl was clutching a piece of bread in her hand. I had killed a 14-year-old girl, an innocent girl who wanted to help me. I can never forget it. Will God forgive me?
Rector Major's comment.
Vi sono molte guerre oggi attive nel mondo.
There are many wars happening in today's world. According to reliable sources, there are some 25 conflicts, all with much the same results: death, victims, forced migration, refugees, social division, devastation, and much suffering for those who are left behind. Every war is not only unjustifiable, but senseless and inhumane. The Salesian family of Don Bosco is not just a spectator of all this tragedy. In the face of it all, we are called to establish an inclusive program of love, charity, concord, to be immediately put into action through humanitarian aid and other interventions of brotherly solidarity, but one that can also express itself through concern for our interpersonal relationships, marked by unconditional acceptance. Every little gesture of ours done with gentleness can help build peace for all. This gentleness, which was the outstanding virtue of St. Francis de Sales, putting charity into practice, warming hearts, and winning over souls.
E conquista le anime.
Salesian reference. At the end of a war that lasted 4 long years, the Rector Major, Father Paolo Albera, dedicated an entire circular letter to gentleness and kindness, The virtue of gentleness demands that we dominate our exuberant character, repress every impatient impulse, and forbid our tongue to utter even a word that would offend the person we are dealing with. It demands we reject violence in our behavior, our suggestions, our actions. For Father Albera, it seemed impossible not to be educators with a serene gaze full of kindness, mirroring a sincerely gentle soul, uniquely desirous of making those who approach them happy. Testimony from the Salesian world.
Слава Ісусу Христу! Я Пономаренко Олена, координатор.
My name is Olena Ponomarenko, the coordinator of the Salesian Cooperators Association in Odessa.
Виїхала до Польщі, але й там допомагаю.
Our group comprises 12 people, 4 of whom are in Poland, helping Ukrainian refugees there.
Того дня ми чуємо жахливі новини
The war has continued now for more than a month.
наших людей про Маріуполь.
As each day dawns, we hear terrible news of the death of our people in Mariupol and the terrible murders in Bucha.
Ми тут могли відкрити склад.
Luckily, we were able to open a humanitarian aid depot here, and that helps me not to think about all the horrors we hear
Я
about.
займаюся офісною роботою.
I'm doing office work.
Документи, я
I'm printing documents, cards for the volunteers, and this distracts me from what we're hearing now, and distracts me from the bad thoughts that come into my mind, especially those of revenge.
особливо від того
I try not to give in to my emotions, and I rely more on God.
емоціям і більше довіряти Богу. Цього року я в особливій спосіб
I have been experiencing Lent in a special way this year.
Божа, а я є греко-католицькою.
I belong to the Greek Catholic Rite, and for me today, the Holy Mass demonstrates the triumph of Jesus Christ's resurrection even more. Just as in those days, after terrible torments, after death, the Lord rose again. So now I believe that after all these terrible deaths, after this horror we are experiencing,
які зараз ми переживаємо.
Ukraine will rise again.
І саме Воскресіння
It is precisely the resurrection that gives me strength for the future.
і в такі часи
Life goes on, and in these moments, especially, we must not be discouraged.
наша група провела чергову.
Our group had a formation meeting in March.
Так само
I am studying at the Ukrainian Catholic University, and I continue to attend classes
я
online.
навчаюсь на вчителя християнської етики.
I am studying to become a teacher of Christian ethics.
Продовжую жити своїм життям і
At home, I continue to live my daily life and do embroidery.
а також
I also decided to take up salt crystals as a hobby.
кришталіки солі. А ще ці випробування показали мені, яка
I have to say that this situation has shown me how strong and loving our Salesian family is. Thanks to all of you for your understanding, support, prayer, and if we think about the future, when our enemies have left our land, we invite you all to Odessa. So see you soon. Entrustment to Mary. Welcome us under your mantle, O Mother, and make us artisans of peace, not of flags nor of slogans, not even of tear-jerking photos. Make us artisans of the peace that comes from the pierced heart of your Son, who, like so many mothers even today, you saw unjustly condemned on a cross, and whom you held dead in your arms.